Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. It's episode 73 of the Strip Poker Night of the Inventory podcast. I'm your host, Spnanon, with my co-host, Nmasp,
What?
and our returning guest, Mymans.
Holy shit, it's Moist Critical.
Back in action. I finally saw some titties. I'm home free, baby. I'm all about that. It's what I've been waiting for.
Free-range titties.
Just got done from our recording break. I had some hash browns. I just devoured them. Let's get started.
Good golly.
We got a quick one today. We got just a couple wonderful projects to talk about today. We covered most of them in episode 72, and we got some heavy hitters today in episode 73. Would either of you like to introduce yourselves and mention anything?
Yeah, if you listen to the last cast, I'm the Nmasp co-host here, and I am slowly easing
Dude, spoilers. I was going to mention that.
I am slowly easing myself into the grave.
Well, that's just all of us every day.
Yeah, some of us faster than others.
So some are power bombing themselves into the grave.
Commit self-yeet. Commence.
Mymans, do you have anything you want to open with? You introduced you gave the big introduction last time.
Well, all I want to say is, god damn, that's a lot of fucking people getting naked.
True.
Now you know why I'm so excited.
Yes, absolutely.
Where else can you play strip poker and the rest of the table is like for bodacious anime babes who are into you?
Well, I mean, if you stretch the term of bodacious anime girl, regular poker night at the inventory.
To include like middle-aged fat guy.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah. All right. So first on the agenda for this,
It was almost entirely testing roster last time. Even Elphaba kind of counted as testing but she was main roster. We just didn't get to her in time. This is all testing roster editions. We have 3 kind of 4 to talk about. The first one is one that got teased for a long time. This is by longtime creator Cool Cat. I think he's been around since 2020. He's worked on Jim Raynor from StarCraft and Colt from Brock Stars and some other things in between. They're not coming to me right now. What else has he worked on?
Samus, I think he took over for Sakura.
Haruo Chalet.
He worked on the new Samus.
Chalet, yeah. That's another one.
Yes. He's done a ton of stuff. I don't know why they didn't come to me. I went straight to Colt from Brock Stars. not Samus and Chalet. Impeccable planning. Anyway, yeah, like Cool Cat had been teasing this character for a long, long time. For months he was like, "Oh, it's my secret project. You're all gonna love her." And just almost every day he was just posting like teasers and updates about how a secret project was going. And then he finally put her on testing. It was this big reveal trailer for Yumeko Jabami from I think it's Kakegurui. It's like a anime about like compulsive gambling. So he dropped this trailer finally after months of teasing, and I watched it and I'm just like, I have no idea who the fuck that is.
Yeah, that's you had a Lex Luthor moment.
I did. I even posted the emote. But yeah, that's her big thing. This is Yumeko, and she has a gambling addiction. And as it says in her description, she does not suffer from a gambling addiction because she quite enjoys it. But yeah, she's like a schoolgirl with a compulsive gambling edge to her. Mymans, what did you think of Yumeko?
So the thing with Yumeko is that I do know about her source material. I've seen it online, and I've seen Rule 34 of her. But I haven't watched it, right? So I'm only familiar with it on a superficial level. So I can't really say stuff about how accurate of a portrayal she is as far as a character goes. But I can say okay, well, let's start with that some of her expressions terrify me, but in a good way. She's like really unhinged sometimes. Like she bounces between being like, oh, she's so calm and she looks like a normal human being, and then suddenly she has this crazy ass expression on her face and she has glowing eyes and it's fucking scared. But she's also a hot woman, so it works out. So I think that's like a really interesting aspect of her. She's a character that's like specifically obsessed with the gambling aspect of Spinati, right? Like Spinati is like a strip poker game. Many characters usually, if they're obsessed with like a specific aspect of the game, it's usually either like the poker aspect, like the competitive card playing aspect, or like the sexual aspects. Like, oh yeah, I want to fuck people, I want to get naked, like Mari Serugaya or like Moon. But she's specifically like obsessed with the gambling part, and I think that's like interesting because like most characters are like they don't get a thrill from the gambling itself. They get a thrill from like what happens because of the gambling. But she likes the gambling itself, and I mean, she gets a thrill from what's going to happen, from humiliation and all that. She likes that too. But I just want to say to them,
Yeah,
like
I was gonna
it's
say, like she also seems really invested in the idea of like either lording over her victory or being humiliated, and she's totally fine with either outcome.
yeah, like that's like the thing. Like most of the time, like characters are like obsessed with either getting naked or hate not getting naked, or winning and hate losing. She is obsessed with the gambling itself. So like for her, whatever fucking happens is just as fine, right? Like she's like, I fucking lost. That's amazing. I'm so happy that fucking heart of the cards weren't with me this time. So I like that aspect about her, and I like that with her forfeit. She has like pet play. It's like obviously that's a kink and not going to be everyone's thing, but I think it fits for like how she acted for the entirety of the game leading up to that point. Like I didn't feel like it came out of nowhere. I was like, this woman, like she's not a normal person. So I felt it was fitting for her to like have something like that, and also it's a nice thing because it's always nice to see more like kinks in the game. Like unless it's like something that's like unhygienic, like shitting or something, but. No, this isn't that obviously. So I think it's always nice to see more kinks in the game as long as
You
they're
don't
not.
have the fabled shitting character yet.
Yeah. I don't want to have any characters that fucking shit their pants. No thanks.
It's coming one day, and we won't be able to stop it.
Someday,
God, I hope.
hey,
I hope I'm not alive to see that.
It's coming out.
back
But
back in the days of yore, that was the example of like, look, like whatever you guys put in here is kind of your own prerogative. We're not here to be morality police, and now that I'm no longer a mod, I'm very grateful that I do not have to defend that position.
so yeah,
um, yeah,
I think it's nice that she has like that pet play stuff, and that like she degrades herself. Like a lot of characters, they are like insecure about themselves, so like they're like, oh, I'm this terrible person, or like, oh, I'm not good for anything, or they degrade her and say like, oh, you're a piece of shit, I'm way better than you. She doesn't exactly do that. Like she degrades herself, but not in like a shy ooh way, but more like in a, oh yeah, I'm your fucking, I'm your slut, I'm this dirty woman that lost because she sucks at card games. And I think that's cool, that there's a character that does that with pet play and shit. I think that's nice. I think that's a nice aspect of her, and I think a lot of people will get mileage out of that. And assuming that like this is just like how she acts in her source material, like she's just equally as crazy and as unhinged there. I think the fans will also get a lot of mileage out of that then. And one thing I wanna mention before passing on the mic, so to speak, is that her current model, obviously it needs work, especially in the chest area. It seems like she's well known for her breasts, and in Spinati she just kind of has default flat looking ones. But Cool Cat, almost immediately after she hit testing, started working on like refining her model, and he's posting about like his progress with that. And I think it's looking really nice. So, like I just wanted to mention that her model currently doesn't look great. I mean, who knows? Probably by the time this episode goes up, a little like much better. Who knows? Maybe she'll be on main even. But the point is that she started out on testing without like a great model, but she, like in particular, like when she's nude. But he has been working on a new model, and I think it's looking really nice. And I think that overall she's going to turn out nicely. The main thing that I feel she needs beyond that, because I think her personality, like she doesn't lack presence. I think she doesn't like presence. So yeah. I just think she needs like more generics, honestly. But that's the usual gist with testing characters. So yeah, but I just wanted to mention that.
Nmasp?
Yeah, I definitely think her face is really cute. I disagree with Mymans though. I mean I agree on the breastwork thing. I hope Coolcat does continue to improve that with some of the fantastic new Kisuke tech that's out there. Um, I found the pet play thing to be pretty out of left field, and as someone who generally does enjoy kind of like the zany weirdos, I just felt like there wasn't enough grounding in the rest of her dialogue to really make her engaging to me. It just felt very kind of like lull random, off the wall, sort of attention seeking more than it was a concrete character with unique perspectives and outlooks on things. I do think she has a really unique voice, which is good, but I think my advice for this character would be to spend some more time figuring out what the impact this character is supposed to have on the other players at the table, because I think that's how you sell this particular type of personality. Like, like I'm going to use Cagliostro for example. Cagliostro is like not demeaning per se, but she's extremely confident in herself and otherwise just engaging with people who are around and doing things like that. Or Nagatoro is very much focused on the player. You have someone like Magma Grunt who's just kind of being chill and doing her own thing. Megumin's kind of off the wall. Saki is really high energy, and Misfortune is just kind of a delightful weirdo. I guess what I'm trying to say is like I don't think she's bad. I do think the pet play needs some more kind of like, hey, I'm going to do this if I lose. Is everyone cool with that? Or even like, oh, I'm going to do that better than this character. It just doesn't. I don't quite understand why the character is doing the things she's doing, except for the fact that it's like, oh, she likes doing them, and that's fine. Like you don't have to be more clever than that. Really, it's I don't know. It just didn't stick the landing for me. I just felt it was kind of like, okay, yes, you love gambling. You're in a game about gambling. What else? Like talk about some of the things that you gambled or things like that. I also just think it's like when Polly came out, she had this thing where she was like talking about like smoking crack or something to that effect. And it's like, that's probably true to Polly's character and that's fine. Polly's a ghost, but the whole thing, it's like, oh, well, she's a compulsive gambler and she likes it. It's like, well, Moon is a compulsive nudist and she likes it, but we all shit on her. So I don't know. I think the character could use some focused attention on how to interact with other people at the table, mostly because I think that this veers into territory that could be very uncomfortable for some people. I know it was very uncomfortable for me. Those are my
Yeah, I
thoughts.
can agree with that.
Yeah, like I don't think it's bad. I think like you said, Mymans, like if you're there for the pet play, then great. But
I think the main thing that like it should be eased into more like it should be more like
it should be a little bit more overt.
instead of being sudden, it should be something that's more like built up to.
Right. And then I think the element of like, oh, she doesn't suffer from a gambling addiction. She enjoys a gambling addiction. It's like, well, I enjoy,
I think there's an effort
Yeah.
to kind of hide her intentions and make her seem like a normal person, and then it hits you with the twist that she's actually a psycho. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
maybe she should just be honest about it from the start. Maybe that's not.
Yeah, I
accurate.
think that would be a little better because, I honestly think like I think this is advice
Also,
that
because of the way her eyes glow and shit, I don't believe for a second that she's a normal person.
right. I think like this is advice that I think is going to be received with some degree of spiciness. But it's like I think looking to Moon as an example of how this can be done well, even if the content isn't orthogonally in the direction that people like, would be good inspiration to improve the character.
A rough comparison.
Just like do like the Moon stuff without being like insufferable in the way that some people find Moon to be insufferable. And I think that you're on the right track. I like Moon for what it's worth, so I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, you're full of wrong opinions. Always have been.
I know. Well, yeah, it's true. I'm here to
That's
bring
why you're getting kicked off.
yeah, I'm here to bring diversity of thought to the podcast. Before we lose that too.
Okay. Yeah. Is that what
Yeah.
you're calling it in your boardroom meetings?
Yeah, exactly. You know, when I sit on my
Sort of
BlackRock,
rocking the boat.
yeah, when I sit on my BlackRock board of investor councils, and I play God with the world's economy.
Anyway, so I get what Yumiko's about and what she's going for, and I think for the most part, it's well done. Cool Cat has a lot of experience writing, even if I don't always agree with his choices. I think he's got a sure enough footing. I think you could do a little bit more with maybe explaining who she is and how she got this way, and what her past experiences have been, instead of just hyper focusing on the moment. Just to help her talk to other people instead of constantly doing the shtick. So, like writing wise, I don't think it's a huge issue. The main issue for me is the art. I'm just gonna be blunt here. I think like her art, like the face especially, like it just doesn't work. Like something went wrong here, and I think like this everything about Yumiko's art, and I know he's like working on improving it, but just like looking at it the way it is, I see like rookie mistakes. This feels very amateurish. And I'm not saying that to denigrate Cool Cat's skills, because if you actually think about it, this is kind of his first model, or like his first attempt at art in that way, because I believe he got help with Jim, who was obviously a very difficult model to make, because, the buff middle-aged dude, that's kind of weird. Like Metalitar did the art with Samus, like Foambox did the art with Ruchelet. I think someone else did the art with Colt. It might have been Rotom. But point is, like, I think this is Cool Cat's first attempt to actually do the art himself, which I commend and encourage. But you're gonna get like amateur mistakes like this. This looks like someone's first attempt at making a Kisuke character, and there are obvious mistakes that I see. Leaving the proportions so default. She's got a big head and stubby legs, and there's no body detailing, which you should really just expect from a character at this point. I'm looking at references like her face is too wide, and like I see what he was going for with the nose, but he just like didn't get it right, and he doesn't have enough artistic experience, so it just looks like Voldemort. And like he tried to do he was looking at a reference, but he just didn't get it quite right, and it just doesn't work, because it's like when you copy something and you miss some of the details. Like her hair comes in like at her cheeks, which is a thing that happens, but they're too thick, so they kind of look like cheekbones, and it makes her look like a skull with the nose, and the mouth is kind of weird because he was trying to copy it, but he like didn't quite do it right, and like the irises are too big, so she kind of looks like an alien. And it's just all these little things that I think, like as she is now, I'm sure she'll look different by the time this episode goes up. She just looks unattractive. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is, and I wouldn't expect any different from someone who worked entirely in secret and was learning Kisuke for the first time. We're so used to these hyper detailed models from experienced artists, but this is what you get when you're first trying to do it, especially in secret.
I mean,
I
like
like
everyone.
the whole secret project thing was fun, but I think it ended up doing a disservice to the character. You should have just told everyone that you were making this character and be like, "Hey, can I get some help with Kisuke? Because otherwise, this is what you're gonna get." At least he's dedicated to improving her. But yeah, there's just
For sure, and I think everyone starts more or less somewhere. So I don't think this is like, wow, I can't believe this is something so and so did. It's like, it's everyone starts somewhere. Like I think it's a good thing to just start and keep going.
Yeah. I don't think she's unsalvageable.
No,
Or anything.
no. I definitely don't. I definitely don't think that.
So moving on to an example of a prolific creator that you can say worked on all sides of the spectrum, which is usually why I champion it, because they're more familiar with every side of it. You have yet another character by Nord. I resisted the temptation to bring him on the podcast again to talk about yet another project he's done, but this is Meia. No last name. Meia from Golden Sun, the obscure, beloved Game Boy Advance series of RPGs. I think it's a series. Seems like something I could get into, but I never have. She's like the white mage of the group. She's very kind and caring and considerate. I'm going to see if I can even find a gift of her.
Go on and on about Golden Sun. I could really go on about it. It's so good, dude. You'd have a great time with it. Highly recommend.
Please do if you can, but I think you got to leave soon.
Yeah, unfortunately the timing of it is so, but
my man's go ahead, talk about Meia.
Yeah.
Right, so Meia, obviously she was made by Nord, so Nord has a lot of experience under his belt, so it's no surprise that her model is like really good, and he's just like how it's just Nord showcasing his Devin experience and skills. Once again, he makes yet another good character. Because of course he did. It's Nord. He has done it so many times. It's obviously I would expect no less. So yeah, her model looks great. Like the clothes when she like fully clothed, I think she looks great. Her underwear. Well, it looks actually kind of simple, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But especially stand out for me personally. I mean, it's kind of a subjective thing, but I do think that her nude body detailing and her custom breasts, especially, I think they look really nice. I think he did a very nice job with that, and from what I've heard, because I played a good chunk of the first Golden Sun game, and I did get to the part where Mia is in it. Like I have her on my team, and I've used her, but I haven't played much more after that because busy with other stuff. So I don't know that much about Golden Sun, but from what I believe I've seen him saying, she actually doesn't get like a lot of screen time. Well, like she doesn't get a lot of protagonism after that initial introduction. So it's like her personality is a bit like simple because the game doesn't develop it that much. I think it's what I remember seeing, but I could be misremembering. But either way, he took an approach with her for Spinati where she's like more on the confident side than on the shy side, but she's not like a super confident character. She's just like kind of confident, like she's not like ashamed of her nudity, but she's not like super over the top confident about it, like a character like Mari Serugaya or what was it? I just had it. Or like Nagatoro, you could say, or like Moon. Well, Moon is the obvious example, but yeah. So so I think she's nice in that sense. I think she's a very great character. I think her writing is nice, and it's just. I mean, honestly, I think I'd have to like go and play her and like really pay attention to like see like any disqualifying flaws for like potential sponsorship. But overall, like she feels like a very she feels complete for the most part. And like you can clearly see that like the road that's like paved out for her to like make it on main, and it's north, so obviously it's gonna happen. So she's just good stuff. As usual, more good stuff from Nord, and I look forward to seeing her hit main. I look forward to targeting her with my characters, and yeah, that's all basically. She's nice. She's great. She looks good. Her model looks great. So yeah, nice Golden Sun representation.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like, holy fuck, dude. There's what is there to say? I love Golden Sun. I think like the best phrase I can give this is
Sell
like
me on Golden Sun.
What?
Sell me on Golden Sun. I've already played Game Boy Advance RPGs, so
Okay,
is it that
so
hard to sell me on it?
very, very cool setting, very interesting story beats. The class system is really strong, and like the way the fighting works feels like every time you're doing an action, you're setting up for something down the line without having to do like, I spent a turn charging. It's like I did this, so it gives me a buff for this thing I'm gonna do later. I just think it's phenomenal. I think the character designs are great. I think the art is fantastic. The setting is really cool. The way the world is structured is awesome. The way the magic system works isn't like
The music is great too. Also, don't forget the music.
oh, the music is fucking dude. Satiros theme is just the best thing in the fucking universe. Like so
Yes,
good.
dude, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Satoru's team is
Yeah.
amazing.
God. Anyway, Mia herself, I think, in the original characterization, there's not a ton of density to mine, but I do think her character is true to form. My only real criticism for her is I would just love to see more kind of forfeit dialogue. And, as usual, the Nmasp is going to target more characters. But man, if she'd been like closer being done like a month ago, I definitely would have just like gone nuts on targeting. I fucking adore this character. She's so like the art's great. The dialogue is nice without being boring. I think that like she's just a great, good, solid character, and I don't really know what else to add. I really rather enjoy her quite a bit.
I've noticed that Nord is really making an effort to level up his art in general. You know, he's making
Yeah,
epilogues. He's making this lovely 3/4 side pose where she is probably a little more cheeked up than she should be, but you know, it's fine to have a little indulgence. She brought enough cake to feed the entire party. He's doing the same sort of thing with like profile faces and epilogues and things for Aqua from Kingdom Hearts, not from Konosuba.
yeah. Lord loves water themed
Yeah,
things.
I wish we could have him here a little bit to talk about why this character in particular. I guess he just likes Golden Sun and she's cute. What more do you
I
need?
fucking love Golden Sun. Yeah, what? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Golden Sun's great. That's all you need.
but he's been working on this character for a while and she's come out nice.
Where Jenna?
Yeah, she's like, and she definitely feels like a white mage kind of character. She's very ponderous and gentle and serene and supportive. I think what I came away with more than anything, she on the table. I say often that characters are like a cheery or a fun presence. She was very pleasant. She was just pleasant to be around. I almost felt like I was being healed just being around her.
Yes.
Very nice. Oh, and she had a cute animation with her little buddy, the Jin, that came out.
Oh, the Jen are great.
Oh yeah, the Jin. I think it was really cute that he added that. I mean, he really didn't have to. You know, it was very easy to just like not do that. But the fact that he did go the extra mile and added it, I think it added, like, you know, it was a nice, charming thing. It was cute, and it added to that sense of healing that you mentioned.
It's like Fina with a Cupel. It's nice when they have their little buddies come out.
Yeah, those are cool.
I did feel kind of bad for her a little bit because like the sad or the awkward poses or whatever they seemed a bit overused in the middle, but eventually she came together and she eventually hit like a nice balance of what you're looking for when you have like these characters that are more sheltered, or like Nagisa kind of does the same thing where you have like the embarrassed but the eager. I think Fluttershy does that pretty well too.
Thank you.
Where like they're still kind of embarrassed because they're not used to the situation, but they're not like making it worse for everyone else. Like they're still excited to do it and to have a good time, and it's a new experience for them, and they are enjoying it still. Like that's always charming. Let's see. She had that sweet spot. I think she could talk a little bit more about the magic and her world a little bit more. She mentioned like the synergy that she talked about, but she didn't really mention her companions or the setting in a way that I learned too much about it. It's kind of why I asked you to sell me on Golden Sun because I feel like I didn't learn a whole ton.
Yeah, I will say it's like I think there's definitely room to explore that. I think especially because like the magic system of Golden Sun has like the elements of a traditional JRPG. You know, there's MP and things like that, but like the way the magic behaves and like the way it's sourced from and things like that are very different. So it would be really cool for her to have some of those discussions with other characters, like from universes with magic, because it does not behave like you'd really usually expect from like say fireball and fireball happens. It's just not how mechanics are.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, one thing I gotta mention. I know Nord is gonna. He was embarrassed about this. I found it funny that I was the first one to point this out because I was certainly not the first one to play her, but it's fixed now. But when I played her, so he went through the effort of editing all her masturbation poses. First, she lays out a towel, which is really nice, and she's got some custom stuff. But let's see. But he went through the effort of making sure like her hand didn't clip through like her thighs. He like added in some ribbons and things because that's something that happens normally, and it looks kind of weird. It was very funny. She was missing her butthole on all her four poses because of that editing that he did. He went back.
No, that's obviously because girls don't shit, don't you know?
That's true.
That's true.
Well, white mages, they don't poop.
It's true.
It seals up when you learn white magic. Yeah, it was just funny. She just didn't have one, and I thought, oh, it must be just a mistake on that pose, and I just kept clicking, and it never appeared. It's like this girl. They took her ass. She can't
Yeah,
shit.
That's actually just canon in Golden Sun. No one shits.
I thought it was funny because I mean it's fixed now. I'm just taking the piss out of her. But
I know.
I thought it was funny because I was on a table with sweethearts, so the total number of holes remained the same. But yeah, it is just funny. It's back. She's been re-assed, been restored. He spent all that time drawing her thick ass, but there's no hole. It's like just let the poor girl shit.
Why even live?
It's important. It's important. Listen, if your girl doesn't have a butthole, I'm gonna notice. All right, I'm all about that butthole magic.
An ass with no hole is like a heart with no pulse.
Don't think you can be coming on to Spinati and make a girl with no butthole and I won't notice.
Well,
Mandatory butthole inspection day will commence.
what if I make a girl that has no legs?
I'm sorry. I'm just making fun of her. She's very good. I liked her.
Yeah,
And
she's
it's fixed
super
now.
super good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very solid character as always, and well, more than solid, I should say. Again, he's trying new things, and he uses these projects as an opportunity to try new things, which you always like to see. Okay, so either of you have any extra thoughts on Mia from Golden Sun?
She is great.
Classic Nord moment of like he makes a good character.
All right, so moving into our next topic, it's a little bit of a toss up here to the planned agenda. See, we're actually recording this a little bit later because we had some scheduling issues, but that gave us some time for this to come out and for us to talk about it real quick. Nagatoro, Hayase Nagatoro, one of the most popular recent characters added to the game. She did very well in the resort. She does very well in general. A lot of collectibles and content and general praise. She got an epilogue. Very nice to see. Yeah. Yeah, you actually fuck her. Can you believe it? After all this teasing and bullying and humiliation that she puts you through, that you actually get the catharsis. Not without some pain and suffering. And some effort on your part, but you do eventually achieve penetration against all odds. Mymans, I will go ahead and let you give your thoughts on this epilogue first.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and you know the thing with Nagatoro actually is that I am a huge fan of her source material, the manga and the anime. I am a big fan, so I think I do have place to talk about in that regard. Like, you know, I actually know a lot about the character, how she's like, what her source material is like, and I have to say that I am very pleased with her epilogue. I think it was very, very good. If you're going to specify, you know, what things I like the most. So now, one thing about the epilogue that some people might not like is that it has the player talk a lot. And, you know, the thing is, some people prefer it when the player doesn't say anything because it feels like you're god modding the player. And, you know, people just kind of prefer that what the player says is implied rather than like explicitly shown. But the idea with her epilogue, you know, is because in the way Nagatoro was written in Spinati, you are senpai, the character senpai from her original source material. So in that sense, you're not exactly playing the epilogue as yourself, but you're more so playing the epilogue as senpai, you know? And, you know, that's like, some people might like that, some people might not like that. I personally think that's good. I prefer that over being like a silent player. But, you know, I understand if other people would prefer something else. But in that sense, I think it was written perfectly. You know, it's just like reading the manga or like watching the anime. I think it was pretty much the writing was spot on. In that sense, it felt like, I mean, obviously, except for the fact that, you know, the actual manga doesn't get that explicit, but I think it was very nicely done. I think Lokit achieved a very accurate portrayal of Nagatoro and Senpai in the shoes of the player. And on the more actual epilogue stuff aspect, obviously, all of the action was quite nice. But one thing I actually specifically want to mention is that in Nagatoro's epilogue, she has something that I don't think I've seen any other epilogues do, and it's that she kind of like has like idle animations. Her eyes blink, she moves, she sways a little bit, and that really made her feel like alive in the moments she was on top of the player, and I thought that was very nice. So not all epilogues have to be like that, obviously. Epilogues can take many different shapes and forms, but in that sense, I think that Nagatoro's one is like short and well, sort of short, gets to the point quickly enough. Like it's just a simple little sweet moment. It does what it sets out to do, and in that sense, as a fan of Nagatoro's source material, I think it was very nicely done, and I think it's a nice addition that kind of like rounds up everything with her character, where like you unlock collectibles and you make your way to unlocking the epilogue in a way, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, overall, really nice work, Lokit. I think you did great.
Yeah, I think just what an epilogue, just incredibly smoothly animated, like major props. I agree with the idle animations being fantastic. Just smash it, really good stuff. Like I think like Nagatoro's bullying is maybe not to my liking, but the rest of her is really, really good. So I'm really stoked. I thought this was a really phenomenal epilogue. That's really all I have. There's no real feedback. It's just just good shit.
Well, there's very little wrong with it.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just really good.
I think the idle animations, they're very nice, and they have some nice, and they create some nice transitions between different motions. They feel pretty smooth a lot of the time. I don't think that's something that every epilogue needs, but if you can afford to give it that level of polish, it definitely enhances the moments. I mean, you want little touches of intimacy like that. Let's see. Yeah, my main criticism, or at least point of contention, was going to be that the player talks. I understand that like you kind of have to characterize the player a certain way in order for Nagatoro's shtick to really make sense. But I feel like she achieves that just fine in the game itself, where you don't talk. So it was a little jarring to see him suddenly rely on that in an epilogue, where I think they had a pretty funny rapport, but yeah, it didn't seem like strictly necessary to get the point across or to make the premise of the epilogue happen. So I'm a little surprised that he went so hard in that direction. Like you honestly have a comparable amount of lines to Nagatoro in the epilogue as a whole. And I definitely didn't relate to him. I just felt like, dude, just fuck her already. How could you possibly be this resistant to the idea? It kind of goes back to something I say about a lot of epilogues, is that I think there's a little too much dialogue in general, because I think creators are kind of subconsciously afraid that the visuals won't convey what they want or convey enough of what's going on. So it feels like dead air. You feel like you want to fill in that space with more talking, even when it's not really necessary. And I'd always just fill it some other way. Just add a little animation, or like just pan the camera around or zoom or something. But yeah, the content itself, the animation was silky smooth. She had a lot of funny reactions. It got a chuckle out of me a number of times. Really like economic use of like spriting and dividing up the model and stuff. She like uses a lot of different faces on the same pose. You change a little like that, and you add a lot to a scene. Yeah, and even the blinking stuff. She even had there's like a little wetness sprite or wetness effect once like on your dick itself. Once you put it inside, you can like see it. I don't know if I've ever seen that in any other epilogue. Maybe a couple others, but it's not too common. little touches like that go a long way. This is a really nice job if you can get over the whole putting words in your mouth thing. I would definitely not be protesting so much.
Alrighty.
Good stuff.
It was really good stuff. Yeah, just A+ for me personally.
So, for our final topic today, so you may know me, longtime viewers, Spnanon, as the host of the podcast, and I always talk about other people's projects. You know, bring on Nmasp. Oh, Nmasp, what are you doing? Bring on Mymans. What are you doing? What are you doing, Nord? He's always doing something. Just kidding. All these people. It's always other people's work. If you're unaware, I do actually make things for this game. Always have. My first.
No. Yeah, I mean, let's like Spnanon is the most prolific of all of us, really. Yeah, go ahead.
On the podcast was as a guest talking about Jura, who was like had just debuted at that point, or was about to. She hadn't even made it yet. But prolific maybe in terms of like overall like amount of content, not amount of characters. The reason that I am never on the agenda here is because I'm always working on the older characters that are already established. So it's just new lines and there's nothing to talk about really. You just do it. But here we have something I've been working on for quite a while and talking about for even longer. Meia and Jura from the anime Vandred came out in 2000 have gone full model updates, so full rework in terms of posing and a lot of the internal structures as well, and some basic assumptions that they were written under. And it's hard to completely go over all of that because a lot of it has been building up. A lot of like prior updates have been kind of building up to it. It's still a cumulative effort, but this is the big one that has put them back onto the testing tables for the time being.
Yeah, holy fuck, dude. And what a way to do it. Yeah, go ahead. I'm just excited.
Sorry.
This is super cool.
I want to give a brief history of them all.
Okay.
So if I don't really have a picture of their older models on hand, I could go post the old subreddit posts. Here, I'll do that. I mean, there's the really older models where this is completely default. It was like Kisuke, like 56. You couldn't mirror belts. I'm not sure ribbons were a thing. So Meia was just wearing pajamas, basically. And her headpiece was just like photoshopped on. It was like cut out of canon art because I just didn't even want to attempt it. Jura's dress was just asymmetrical pants. She just had one pant leg. That was my attempt.
My God.
It wasn't good. And I don't blame myself. I blame everyone else. Yes, I made some excuses as in terms of what was capable or what Kisuke was capable of, but I posted canon pictures and everyone in 2018 looked at this and said it was fine. So I blame everyone else. Okay, you did this. And then nearly 4 years ago, I released new and improved models, which were an improvement, and they were generally more accurate. They actually had like semi-custom hair at this point and like belts and ribbons and things. But they quickly began to age. And this is the art that they had been rocking all the way since summer 2019. And boy, have art standards evolved since then. I mean, these basically Kisuke default faces, or what I like to call spnanon face now, because all my old models had this exact face because I didn't like anything else. Turns out the way to make something that's both more accurate and something else that you like when all the Kisuke defaults suck is to just completely do something from scratch. Just make a whole new jaw and everything else from
It's true.
from ribbons, and just slap a bunch of face marks onto their eyes so they actually have proper looking eyes, and build all their clothes and things out of ribbons and belts, and maybe do a little bit with the maybe use like a swimsuit as a default swimsuit as the base and just cover it with ribbons and things. But what really kicked off this project is the contributions of a user called Hologic, who sort of comes and goes. And Mymans, you also gave me some feedback. I think this picture is one that you put together, right? It might have been someone else.
No, it was me actually. I specifically remember making that in in PowerPoint. It was
amazing.
It was like
You had one for
I think
Jura
I was
too.
still like a bit of a newbie when I made that. I don't know if Fluttershy had already hit the game yet, but I know
This
I was
was
a newbie.
like early 2021.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, and then you see on the right there was Hologic's first attempt at kind of sprucing up Meia, and everyone was already floored by this. She already looked so much better, and you can see how much the model has evolved even from that point. So, and I was sort of held up because there were a lot of like little writing things I wanted to get done. I wanted to retool Meia's generic lines, and that took me so long that it basically all the lines that I redid, I now want to redo again, such as life. And I wanted to like get rid of her stupid thing where she didn't know about the masturbation rule. It was dumb. Don't do that. I got rid of that. So that's gone now. And finally, I was in a position to actually like collaborate with Hologic and work on this. Oh yeah, here's the pick that Mymans did for Jura. Same sort of thing. So basically, Mymans' contribution to this, or excuse me, Hologic's contribution to this was the face, essentially. And I mean, they come from the same source and they're drawn very similar. They're pretty similar characters, so they have similar eyes. All the face marks that built her eyes and like the shading around her eyes, like the eye socket and things, and the nose and the jaw, all that was his work. And I mean, you could argue, yeah, the face is maybe second only to the hair in recognizing an anime character. So very important that you get that right, and I have him to thank for that, for really kickstarting the contributions there and getting this model update off the ground. Everything else you see is mine. I built the hair, and the headpiece, and the painstaking effort of making two models for Meia because the head, like on every layer.
Oh God.
Because, well, for one thing, because her hair flips around when she moves her head, but also the headpiece does not flip around. So I had to mirror all of her bang hair pieces, but also keep the headpiece the same and cover up different parts of it. This is not easy. I chose a very bad character to start with. Like model difficulty. And I was pretty busy over the spring months, so Jura took a while to get off the ground too. And I just took it one day at a time, doing her clothes and rethinking a lot of like the stripping sequences and how that would work. And there are a lot of like under the hood changes where first of all, let's see, I posted gave him a lot of body detailing. You got the bold pubic lines that a lot of people do, and custom breasts, and both of them, as you can see, have a little bit of tone on their arms, as well as.
Oh shit! Look at that. I didn't even notice that. That's amazing.
Which I think looks very nice on them.
I agree. It does look very nice.
And it is appropriate. There are, I mean, it's not totally consistent, but there are various shots where they're drawn with some tone, which makes sense. They would be working out every so often, getting their steps in. Let's see, custom breasts. I made Meia's breasts actually small. They never were because I hated the way that default Kisuke breasts look. Again, that's just what you do. You just take matters into your own hands. I added little lines on like their waists to give them a little more depth. because otherwise Kisuke models look very flat and 2D. Added butt fangs, which you see near their crotch level, which is basically showing the ass cheek a little bit from the front. Now, again, just giving some depth, making it look full. I made their necks fully custom. They're wider than the typical Kisuke necks. They go from mid-iris to mid-iris. Most Kisuke necks are very small and would probably taper off to like in the middle of the face. Let's see, what else? Yeah, a lot of little like custom. Oh yeah, custom ears. The ears are all hair pieces, and you can see they're asymmetrical. I added shading to their faces, so those had a little more depth, like along like the chin. Like if you look on like well, it changes depending on which side, but like the right side usually, you can see it. That's most of it. Oh yeah, and I changed just lots of like other miscellaneous things. Like Meia's headpiece or eyepiece got changed to headpiece. I changed her rapier to sword. Meia's size, like in game, got changed to small, which is what it always should have been. Please don't call it flat. Small is not flat. We have a tag for flat. Let's see. My main goals for this update were I wanted them to look accurate to the show's art. Here, I'll post some gifs that I made. I made all of these, or almost all of them. I wanted them to be accurate. I mean, not necessarily 1-to-1, but just a good adaptation. Like you'd expect from anything, it keeps the most important aspects of the character and adapts it well enough to the medium. Not a great one for Jura, but I guess this works. And the other stated goal was that I wanted them to be detailed enough that they were sexy on their own merits, just from art alone, regardless of what they were saying. I think there are characters that are sort of carried by their dialogue, and I think that was sort of the idea that a lot of people had originally about their older models, and that's not something I wanted anymore. I wanted them to be on the level of just being good fan art by themselves, and to work on multiple levels. So please assess them as you wish, but those were the goals I had for the project.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah, holy shit, dude.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but okay, so I watched Bandred specifically because of you, specifically because of Meia and Jura being in Spanaris, so I watched Bandred. So, I do know like what they're supposed to look like and how they're supposed to act. Or I mean, like at least I have a good idea of it as opposed to someone that has like never watched it. So, honestly, okay, so Meia and Jura have always been like very high on the roster characters, like they have always been very high standards. People have held them to high standards because of their writing, because they have the most lines in the game. I think Meia still is the character with the most lines in the game. I don't think she's going to get beaten anytime soon. And lines on their own obviously don't necessarily equal to good writing. It's important that they have substance, but I do think that both Meia and Jura have substance. You have expressed, like some discontent with the writing, and yeah, obviously, a lot of their lines, they're very old lines, or well, they were. You have changed many of them, and definitely I've seen improvement. I assume that you've changed a fair amount of lines with the update that you updated their models with. Is that correct?
So like I said, I've updated a lot of Meia's, almost all of Meia's generic lines over the last few years. I think they're mostly pretty good now, just a little too wordy. I think she should like kind of pick up the pace with how she talks a little bit more. Shouldn't be so eloquent. Jura's generic lines are pretty old. I haven't touched them very much, but I will get to that. I mean, mostly. I mean, where I think the improvement, where you can see the most improvement, is if you just play them with newer characters. Because I don't want to. I mean, it was 5 years ago, almost.
Yeah,
It was like five and a half years ago. Like,
You've gotten better at writing.
you
I
get
mean,
better
I mean,
when you do something for
undeniably,
5.5 years. You just get better at it.
like
Oh, yeah.
undeniably, if you do something for a long time, you're just going to get better at it, and you're
Yeah.
definitely a better writer than you were before. And okay, so
One of the main things
I
with Jura that you might see is that I'm trying to make her sound a lot more childish because that's something that she has in Japanese that kind of got lost in translation. It's hard to translate that, but I think it goes over a little bit easier in text. She talks a lot in third person, and she has a lot of like vocalizations when she's like annoyed or mad or whatever, or like sort of dreamy, like "Mwah," like stuff like that.
yeah, I actually I wanted to mention that when I was playing Jura after the brand new Sparkly update, I noticed that. I noticed, like, okay, she acts more like how she acts in the anime. She's much more expressive and more like she has that kind of personality that she had. And I was like, this is so much better. I love this, right? I mean, obviously, you still have more work to do. There's still more things that you want to do with them, more ironing out because your passion for these two is pretty good. It's pretty commendable. But yeah, as someone that I did watch Band Red specifically because I saw them in Spinati. They have always been characters that people held in very high regard because of how much writing they had and all that. And I always felt like it all they needed to just be well, not maybe not perfect because obviously that's like subjective, but characters that you're like, this is a very high standard Spinati character. Like if you strive for this, you're striving for greatness when it comes to character, like truly great characters. And I think that now with these new models, which they are fantastic, I think you really nailed it. Like all of the effort that you put into them, I think it really shows. I think it really, really does show they have models that they look timeless now. Honestly, like these models, they are timeless. I don't think they will ever need to be updated. I mean, you can update them if you want, but
I hate to interrupt Mymans, but you know that in 2 years, Spanon's going to find some obscure flaw in some 1% situation. He's like, I have to start all over.
yes, of course,
Truly,
listen.
Sisyphus has labors. But yeah,
point is, they like he will do that because he's Spnanon. But I'm saying that they really are timeless now.
I don't think I'll have to completely start over, but I do think with the extra ribbon slots, you could add more detail. Like for instance, maybe adding some shading around their legs to make their legs look a little more 3D, stuff like that. Stuff that I just didn't have the slots for. Because I like to think I don't use Kisuke very much. I'd like to think that I'd put out pretty good work if I put my mind to it, but I do not have elegant solutions for things. If I need to make something happen, I'm just gonna throw more and more ribbons at it until it works.
Well, that's why we'll have 999 slots now.
Yeah,
I'm just like blown away by how good these models are, though. And I've been working with you basically since we started Spinanon, and I do think you have really improved as a writer. I think the new lines really showcase that. And having gone back and redesigned a character basically from scratch, like the amount of work that went into this is just crazy. And I think it's impressive, and I think with the art update, it's pretty hard to contest that Meia is the best character in the game. Like, and I don't think it's even close. Like, excellent job.
I think they're both still a long way from where I want them to be. Maybe one day you can unequivocally say that, but it doesn't
Take
even
the compliment,
matter.
you fucking whore.
No, I'm saying it doesn't. You don't need to be the best character in the game. You just need to be the best that they can possibly be. You just want
That's
to.
true.
You just want to do the best you can for them, and not make.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but it's still good shit.
I don't think like success in Spinati is a zero sum game. That's kind of what I like about it.
No, it's not, but it's still as art though. You can celebrate something as art, and I think as art, it's just phenomenal because like there's nothing that Meia doesn't do. Like Meia and Jura 2 show off basically every aspect of the game. Basically from time 0 to time n. It's pretty good.
Oh, the epilogues are not updated yet. I have to do that. I have been working on scripts, and they're quite extensive. I will need a lot of art assets. I've been trying to crowdsource some help with that. But I think those epilogues.
I actually wanted to, like, if possible, I want to contribute to making their crew. Like at least maybe one or two.
Please. I'm just sitting on these TC 90 points.
Right. Yeah. It's like, because there's so many, and it's gonna be an insane epilogue whenever the time comes.
I feel like it'll do a good job of completing them as characters. I think once those epilogues are done, I will be relatively happy with them. I know you might think that's impossible, but I think at that point, there's not much more you can do. What I did want to say, a couple other things. Like in terms of like newer dialogue that you might have been reading. So one thing I did write a lot of new lines for right before the update dropped was a new set of lines for Meia and Jura to each other.
Oh.
Because I knew that's exactly what was going to happen, is that everyone was going to play them together, and their lines to each other are some of the oldest, shittiest in their entire files. And I really think I got their dynamic wrong. So I actually mothballed a lot of their old dialogue. It's kind of hidden behind the newer cases priority-wise, and I plan to steadily revise it and bring it back into the fold. It's still there in the background. It could play if some other priority gets jumbled up. So they're not entirely worthless, but they're, for the most part, you will see the new lines. So if you want to see like, relatively speaking, where I am with their voices and especially with each other and how I think they should treat each other, just play them together. I used to cringe when people put them together, and now I'm perfectly fine with it. They're just a lot more positive with each other in general. I don't think they bicker so much. Jura is one of the few people that Meia actually seems to spend any amount of time hanging out with in the show. They definitely don't hate each other.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I think they definitely.
I made Meia a lot less of like a stick in the mud.
I really like the arc Meia's undergone, just like from a development perspective over the course of the years. I think she's like never been bad, but she just keeps getting better and better. I think the more detail you put into her, it's really progressive, which is exciting to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One controversy that I should probably address is underwear gate.
Oh yeah, the animation there is really interesting. I don't know if that's what I would have done, but I think it works.
So the most controversial thing about this update is one thing it did to Meia's strip sequences. Oh, by the way, I added like positive and negative versions of a lot of their strip sequences. That comes in handy. I'll use those more and more. The funny thing is that Meia starts default negative, and then the alt is positive, and Jura's default is positive, and the alt is negative.
Huh.
But anyway, the most controversial thing with this that a lot of people took issue with is, so in the past, Meia had like underwear on under her bodysuit.
Right.
Now let me be clear, right? Meia's underwear is a complete fabrication. You never see her underwear. You never see her wear anything under the suit. You don't really see if she has anything on under the suit, although there is one scene where she gets injured and it's like cut off on an infirmary bed. So that kind of gives the impression that she doesn't wear anything underneath. But the point is that like she only has underwear, like that gym wear, to give her more layers, because the 3-layer character is a joke. And she really would just have 3 layers otherwise. Even her shoes are just part of the suit. I guess I could have used like the laser ring or something. But I mean, that would totally upend like 5 years worth of interactions. And you do have to make some compromises to the old content. So I just gave her old gym wear, and I tried to make it look nice, like bunched up around her crotch, and she's got little pokies in her sports bra and all this stuff, but when she takes off the suit now, she's naked.
You enact bullshit. Shenanigans. No, but yeah.
She's naked
She
because
does put the underwear back on, which is good.
I
because
don't.
that's something that is an image that you see in like doujinshi and fan art. Like it's not in the source anywhere, but it's a very common. Like this is what a fan of the character would want to see more than anything. This is one of the sexiest images like she can provide. You know what I mean? Like if you would think of Meia, if she were a more popular character, she would get this all the time. Like this is like zipping off the bodysuit and she's just naked underneath is something that people really like. And that's something that should be there. And I'm not going to not have that to preserve some shit I made up to give her more layers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what she does now is she takes it off and has that moment, and then she just puts some underwear on and said, "Yeah, I brought some underwear to keep playing a little bit longer." Apparently, this really put a hair across some people's ass. Like, people got really incensed at this when it first came out, and I like saying it like betrayed one of the core concepts of the game, and who the fuck cares? I seriously don't get it at all.
The thing that's weird about this for me is that Meia isn't like the first character to do something like this. So like
No, she's not, and I pointed that out.
Spooky does that too. She like materializes clothes onto her, and underwear. I mean, and Amalia, when she loses all of her layers, she bullshits her way and just pulls up flowers and gains like 2 extra layers and thing. And I like that seems like much bigger bullshit to me than Meia grabbing some underwear because she wasn't wearing any under the suit.
Yeah, I even mentioned like Marinette because technically,
Yeah.
like she just magics more clothes.
Marinette gains 6 extra layers.
Yeah,
I mean, no, it's like I'm giving you shit for it, but I think it's fine. I think like anything you do, as long as you do it well enough, is good.
I mean, like if you want to like have a character take issue with it, fine.
It's not going to change.
But like people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna deny sponsorship over this. This is a huge betrayal of the game."
What kind of inbred fuck is like, oh, this is such a just like get over it. Like it's fine. Just let it happen.
Fuck you. Sorry, what is the big fucking deal?
It's like, yeah.
Also, am I not allowed like a little bullshit at this point?
It's like after, it's like, that targets everyone's characters in the game. Just cut him some slack, guys. Like, let him enjoy it. Let him enjoy things.
This bitch is like homeless. She has one outfit, and she didn't even have underwear until I made it up for her. And she just wants to play for a little bit longer, and you're basically bullying her for being poor. Would you do this in real life? This is not like an 8-layer character that puts on like 2 extra pairs of pants halfway through the game. Like it's just like, hey, I don't normally wear underwear, but I brought some. Can I just put some underwear on? Like, would you get into this much of a fucking hissy fit if that happened in real life? She's going from 3 to 5. Like, she still wears less than everyone else.
It's fine.
I just don't get the drama.
It's fine.
Well,
it's fine. It's
Jura didn't have any super big changes to her internal structures, although I did make a similar very custom pose with her dress falling off, which you don't see for very long. I might change that a little bit. It just kind of fades away. But I drew it here. Falling away. Oh yeah, I made her thong. That's not a default Kisuke underwear.
Yeah, that looks good.
I brought that up to her waist. But yeah, I still have a lot of big changes in the works, and we might talk about them in the future. But thank you for all your positivity. Do you have any criticism or anything that seemed a little off? Because obviously there's like there's big changes, and not everything's gonna fit with it. Not all the old content.
Having seen the development of Meia's butt pose, I think it looks good now. It's just definitely not a type of ass that I personally enjoy. But I think like the rest of it's good, and I'm allowed to not enjoy things.
Well, now I have to post it.
Yeah, that's really it though. I mean, like just like everything that's been executed here is super, super good. Yeah, I honestly have no real. I'm giving you an excuse to post it, but I have no real criticism. I think Jura and May have always been great, and now they're just kind of going into that next echelon to go even further beyond. And I'm really excited. I hope you keep updating these characters as long as it's fun for you.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
It's not a butt you like?
It's I can't let you get too big for your britches, but it's a fine butt. It's just not the type of butt that I like.
Not fat enough?
No, it doesn't look like 2 glass balls. That's the problem.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a deep cut.
That's an ancient. That's the ancient lore. No, but I like Misfortune's butt. I like most of the butts.
Mymans, any final thoughts?
I just think Jura and Meia are in a great position right now. I'm like very happy to see, how far they've come and, that there's still more to go on. I think that, once they hit main again and once, you've done everything, or at least most of the things that you want to do for them, I think they will be truly some of the, if not the best characters in the game. They'll be really, really good. And, I'm very excited for all of that. So keep up the good work. You make some really good stuff.
Thank you. What I'll say is, this is not the end. This is the beginning. This is sort of the roadblock that's prevented me from adding a lot of new content that I've thought about, like alt skins and epilogues and other big changes, because I just didn't feel like it was worth doing that in the old art when I wanted to make new art. And now the chains are off, have been unleashed, and I've already started like working with like the pose maker and various things. I just want to learn all the new stuff that I've kind of let slide over the years. I've Jura just got a new rare interaction with Nagatoro. If you play
really?
them. And she falls behind Nagatoro quite a bit. She does quite the interesting pose, and they have a little moment together. Go play that.
Well, now I gotta play them together.
Yeah, Jura and Nagatoro.
Did you work with Hex to update the Natsuki pose?
Sorry, what?
Did you work with Hex to update the Natsuki pose?
I haven't touched any of the Dokis.
I know they have like a hug in there somewhere.
Oh no! I know what you mean.
Fuck it.
I just pasted the new model onto it. It's not a GIF anymore, but it is updated. Here, I'll post it.
Okay.
It is in the game. Yeah, they do have some placeholders still, but I'll work on that. It's mostly just rare stuff or stuff that I'm still working on changing anyway. I believe that's it. Stay tuned for more. And thank you.
That was good stuff, dude. You did really good. I'm seeing the Nagatoro interaction now. That shit's so fucking funny. Like,
oh, you just opened up debug mode?
No, I just went to the character editor. It's really fucking funny.
Oh yeah. Again, it's if you want to see it, it's basically Jura has to fall behind quite a bit, and then when Nagatoro starts catching up, they have a little moment.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Okay.
But anyway.
So this is the end of an era. They were fixtures in the game for a long time, and people just kind of saw them as these like eternal bastions on the top row. And they had those old models for 4 years. That's a long time. That's a whole president.
Transcendent.
And speaking of Nmasp in the president's presence,
what?
The motorcade.
Oh no! Oh yeah! No, dude. Seriously, like that shit's like I'm literally trapped in my house. Like there are police everywhere. I cannot leave. Shit's on fire. I had a bad day at work. I'm just fucking seething. It's a lot of cope. I'm coping really hard over here.
Sorry.
It's fine.
But it's the end of an era. It's the dawn of a new age, and Meia and Jura are not the only ones coming to the end of an era. We are as well.
Yes.
Because
now we die.
This episode is where
Everyone take your Kool-Aid.
we say goodbye to our longtime friend, developer, moderator, and Spinati podcast co-host. No more atheism spam, please. Also known as Nmasp. This is his final episode as co-host.
It's true.
Retiring effectively from development for the game, and I'm going to assume largely from participating in the community in any sense.
Yeah, I think I might throw updates here and there when I get when the mood strikes me, but I'm pretty much done. If I show up randomly in 6 months, okay, I'm back in development, it shouldn't surprise anyone, but I wouldn't expect it. Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been, I've been developing for 6 years now. That's a lot of time to invest in this. I think I've gotten a lot better at English, having written a lot for the game, which was the original intention, which is nice.
You've been around here a little bit longer than I have.
Yeah.
You started developing fall 2017, and I came in the winter.
Yeah, that's about right. So, yeah, I'll probably do an AMA kind of cast at some point. But yeah, I made a lot for the game. Man, I also brought some other developers into the game too, so I will easily take credit for their accomplishments as well. You're welcome, everyone. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I've got the doc open here. You worked on Marinette from Miraculous. That was your first project.
Twice.
You worked on 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
You worked on
something crazy.
And you actually did the art for her, or at least at first.
Originally, I did version 1 and version 2. It wasn't until Phonebox got involved and saved me from myself that we have the beautiful new model that we do, and a dual forfeit, which is exciting.
Yeah, most of these characters you only did the dialogue for. There are some that you did the art, or at least
Back
the posing.
in the day. Yeah.
Marinette. You did Adrian / Cat Noir from the same source, Miraculous. You did Ochako / Uravity. That Hex will always hate you for because you made the folder name Uravity.
Get wrecked.
Still the only fucking My Hero Academia character in the game.
That is just baffling to me. And funny story.
That's hilarious.
No, so I was actually gonna do
who would win, one fucking boomer, one 26-year-old boomer from a show that he didn't even watch when it was airing, versus the entire My Hero Academia fandom?
Wait, what's up?
Who would win? Who would win in terms of character representation? Old mecha anime from a guy who didn't even watch it when it was airing, versus entire My Hero Academia fandom.
No, but it's just baffling because I did Ochako, and then it was I originally wanted to do Toru. Actually, was the original idea. I'm this is a great idea. This is so fucking stupid. And then I actually made a real character with Joe and Yuri. And then we went on to make another character, which was Akko.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you made.
Let's see. I did Ladybug. I did Futaba. Then I did Gwen with that has been massively improved by just saying. And Effie.
You did Confederate Gwen.
Oh my god, I didn't know.
That was from before the Spider-Verse movie. She was the comics Spider Gwen.
Yeah, that's right. I did
with good old Frostfire 5. You worked with him.
If you look at the old commit,
memories, unforgettable moments.
Unforgettable moments. You could say he was the panties guy.
I mean, I'd say that.
So back in the day, I think if you look at the old commits, I think the Futaba, Gwen, and Sei were the 3 characters released consecutively, or it might have been Gwen, Sei, and I think 9S.
Yes, you worked on 9S. You had a lot of stuff that spring 2018 or so.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. 9S, Coco, who got jossed 2 weeks after the character came out. That was really fucking funny.
Into a lesbian.
Yeah, I was well, we all have, it's whatever. And then
you did Akko.
I did Akko. I did Mulan. Beta. Mm-hmm. Beta made a gorgeous rebuilt model for that. I think Mulan could have been really popular if it had been a more modern Disney movie, honestly. But man, she's really cute. I'm really happy about Mulan. Then I went and made Akko. I think I hit 10 at some point. Natsuki definitely up there. And then I made two more. I made Sucrose, then Leon.
Mhm.
And boy, did I make Leon. Blue Jay, A+ work. Thank you for making that character. You really
You made
did
him
it.
do all
And then
sorts of things.
I made Leon do all sorts of things, and I don't regret any of it. Same thing with
Wanton disregard for the source of most viruses. That is to say,
yeah.
animal pussy.
What?
And yeah,
Wait a minute. Yeah. It was like Hu Tao, I think, and then there's got to be a bunch of others in there. But then Sucrose was really cute. Still have never played Genshin Impact, and
you never played Valhalla either.
I actually did play Valhalla at one point afterwards. I think when I was like, Valhalla has an item called the Mulan tea, which is like booze, and that's the only reason I made Mulan. Like, if you're ever looking for motivations to make stuff, just like don't listen to me because they're all obscure, bizarre choices.
Hey man, you did your own thing. You banged out characters super quickly because the inspiration hits you, and that's totally fine. Like people can do things their own way.
Yeah, it's great.
And you were very prolific over the years, and you've done a lot for this
I
community.
joined the rank of Misty Knight.
You were also like a moderator, and you weighed in and you smoothed over the PR for the mod team. Did a lot of good communication and behind the scenes work.
Yeah, it was really fun, and but I think the mods do a great job communicating for the most part these days, and I think there's a really good team in there to make good stuff happen.
And I want to give a personal thank you as well, because like I said, we started off at pretty similar times. You were just getting into gear as I was starting out, and you were the very first. I remember you were one of the first people to say anything positive about Meia before, like she was submitted, and I didn't even know about the Discord at the time, and other people were weighing in and thought she was kind of boring, and you were the first one to say that she felt like organic and was starting to grow on you. And then when I came in a bit later, you were the first to really reach out to me and write some targeted lines and send them back and forth with Meia and Say from Valhalla.
And now we can burn that interaction to the ground. We've both come so far. But no,
I don't think it's what either of us maybe would write now, but that's okay. We've both grown as creators, and I think it was an important stepping stone.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was good for the time for what the game was and what they both were. I don't think it was bad content. It's just maybe not what we would write now, but it was good.
Yeah, and I understand we're coming up to the end, but let me know if folks want to see a goodbye cast at some point. It's been fun. Thanks for continuing to host the podcast. You've both, Mymans, thanks for coming on for the last one. You've been great to work with in a lot of capacities.
Of course, it's been a pleasure, and it has been a lot of fun to work on anything, honestly.
Yeah. Thanks, man. And, God bless you, spnanon. Best of luck with everything that's going on. And you've been a great friend and collaborator in the game. And I hope you'll be around for, as long as you enjoy it. I know I was.
Hey, best of luck to you too, man. And remember, you're always, if the inspiration ever hits you again, you are always welcome back with open arms, and we'll be happy to see you.
All right.
That's going to do it for this podcast, and it's going to do it for Nmasp. Make sure to respond to the character feedback poll. I recorded a little extra bit to plug that for 72 as well, but it's going to be up by the time this goes up, so make sure to leave your opinions. And also, we have a planned final farewell Nmasp event for a live Ask Me Anything on the Discord server. We're going to record a live episode where you can ask me, Nmasp, and Solitaire various questions. So please submit
Is there a sheet up there?
well.
Is there a sheet up yet?
I have one made. I'm gonna post it probably when this episode goes up, and you can respond there.
I'll definitely not sandbag myself. Don't worry. All right, guys, have a good one. Good night.
Thank you, Nmasp. Thank you, Mymans.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And Mymans was never seen again.
All right, I am back.
Oh boy.
All right, just in time. Nmasp and I just got done making out.
It's true.
Fantastic. Finally. I was waiting